Happy Monday. It got a little behind on doing the content, so this wraps up Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on a Monday morning. Go back to Friday. Good day overall. Started at Valpak in the morning with Nilima Bhat's talk. Again, she was brought in by Ingrid Harb and the Women Ambassadors Forum, and it was a nice crowd, nice talk. She got into Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, and then did a equivalent heroine's journey, basically an internal equivalent to the external equivalent that Campbell put forth. And it was a great talk. It was a good crowd. Some St. Pete luminaries were there. Kelly Lessam from Squeeze Juice Works, Tanya Donati from Mother Kombucha, and Ingrid Bredenberg was there. She's a great coach in town. So it was a good mix and a great talk and great morning, great way to start the day. Had to zip out of there to go to our most recent SeedFunders lunch at 400 Beach. We had Safe Zone present and Polar Controller present. We had a good mix, probably about 40 people. Jonah and Kira did a great job of getting everything ready. And we had some of our newer partners who hadn't really dug into Safe Zone yet, as well as some folks, some civilians who came in, and I think we're going to nicely close out that round, and both those companies are just fantastic, and looking forward to see what they do. And then got on their dressing down from Irv on Friday about my style. Man, getting lit up. Put yourself out there. But we had a picture that went out on the Catalyst that Margie took of us in our first SeedFunders board meeting. It was just to attach to another story she was already writing about, I think, the event we were having in Polar Controller and an exit that we had, which I mentioned, Ben and Bay. But I had my oft uniform of a Catalyst t-shirt and shorts on, and because I was sitting in the front of the picture, juxtaposed to everybody else who looked like they just fell out of vogue, I got some heat for that, which, you know what, I'll take it. Saturday was the Big Brothers Big Sisters Gala, which was fantastic. As always, they kill it. They just put on amazing events. They're fun, they're well paced, the food is fantastic. I remember the meal from last year and hoped we got the exact same meal again this year, and we did. And Irv got a table and invited the St. Petersburg group and Catalyst crew, which was great. Just a very just the staff, and it was a great way to celebrate them. Margie and her husband Mike, Amy and her husband Chris, Kira, Jonah, Sherry, and Irv and Kat and I, and Megan was there as well, but she was there with the Big Brothers Big Sisters hat on. She was helping them do social media. And then I have to go shout out to Brian Auld, who last year killed it and this year probably topped himself. Very funny, very engaging. He kicks off the fundraising after all the auctions and whatnot are closed, and they're doing the general ask. He kicks that off, and you just literally couldn't have done a better job. So it's at the Hilton in downtown Tampa, and paid for it a little bit the day after, but worth it. Really a good time. Sunday I got to work a little bit. Came into Banyan and started working on my Tampa Bay Business and Wealth article, which, as it often is overdue. But we had an article on Rosie Rosensteel, who presented at Tiger Bay about the national popular vote. And we got a pretty long comment, a negative one from a guy named Crawford, who obviously doesn't like the national popular vote message, but bashed the journalism for not disclosing sources. And that brings up an interesting. I did write a rebuttal, and I don't know if I'm going to post it just because I think it's pointless. But I am, it is continuing to help me refine some of the core tenets of the Catalyst. And this is a conversation I've had with a few folks about sources. To sum it up, I don't believe the motivation behind someone putting an idea out there should devalue the idea. I think that if a parent loses their child to an illness, they're going to go out and raise awareness and speak and fundraise or whatever for that, or to try to cure that illness. And I think that a researcher may get hired by the university system to do some kind of environmental research, and based on their findings, they may be motivated to go out and speak and push for change in that, in some law to help cure that environmental issue. And if a group of people have an idea or something they believe in this case the national popular vote, and they organize professionally, they hire people to think about it, to research it, to formulate an opinion about it, and then go out and push what they believe and what they have thought about. I don't think the fact that they organize in that way and that money flows in that way should devalue the quality of the idea. Yeah, his motivation is perhaps because he got paid, but is that necessarily worse than the parent whose motivation is because they lost their child? I mean, and when this guy wrote in his rebuttal, are we supposed to, is his idea better than Rosensteel's idea because he didn't get paid to write it? I mean, typically the professionals and the best and the brightest are employed to do just that, to think and to come up with stuff. And most innovation that happens in the world is under a paycheck, or under some sort of financial self-interest. Not all of it, but again, the key takeaway is, are we doing society or a community a service or a disservice by focusing on motivations? He wrote this rebuttal, and it seemed most of the intention was, his only idea he put forth was that the founding fathers didn't intend for it to work this way, and so it shouldn't work this way. That was basically the sum of his actual idea. And the rest of the time he spent trying to bash the journalism and close down people's minds to Rosensteel's ideas because of his motivation for sharing those ideas, or whatever. So we it's that thinking is really baked into the world, and it's one of those things I don't get, and I've had long conversations about it, and I'm welcome to have more, but I really believe that if we lead with ideas, that if the ideas come out and they're judged on the merit of the ideas with an open mind, and the good ideas get gravity around them that bring in other people to contribute and think and add to it, that scenario, that free flow, that safe free flowing platform for ideas is what ultimately leads to the best use of resources. Because otherwise we spend so many resources, we're supposed to background check and get financial records from everybody who puts a comment or speaks or writes an article to dig in their motivation, and do all of that so we can devalue their idea because of some motivation. That seems like a terrible use of resources, and a big problem with a big feeder of all the gridlock that we have in the world today is these non-ideas elements that we use to try to devalue or debunk the ideas, which in turn lead to more conversations about the people and their motivations, and all of a sudden you're just in the world of semantics and you've drifted away from useful ideas. So that's that. But welcome to continue. I'd love to continue that conversation. And finished up Sunday at Car Free St. Pete. Got to spend some time chatting with Gina Driscoll. I think we got some, we really need to focus on some of the food deserts and some of the food issues that we have. Wendy Wesley's been doing some good content for the community voices for the Catalyst, so I'm going to see if she and Gina will come into the studio so we can have a nice discussion about some next steps to really get some action happening around food inequity. And got to chat with John Kyle, which is always a pleasure. His series, The Workaround, will be coming out shortly. I just moved it into development. Been a bit slow, but I think it'll be cool once it comes out. And we're almost at 10 minutes, so I'm going to leave you at that, and have a great week. Got a good meeting later today. Some action will come out of that, which I'll look forward to sharing with you tomorrow. That's it for now. Bye.